What's going on, fam? Welcome back to the channel. If you've never been here before, welcome back to BrainFLoTv. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the bell next to the subscribe button so you are notified every time a new video goes up on BrainFLoTv. We're staying close to this YNW Melly trial. There's a lot going on with YNW Melly and Bortland behind the scenes. Cortland Henry, aka Bortland Henry, behind the scenes, or aka YNW Bortland rather. Anyways, here we are now, right? YNW Melly's team has been dealt two stiff blows, which means they've lost more motions. Well, one wasn't really a motion and one wasn't really a loss. And the first one is Judge Murphy ordered YNW Melly's mother to avoid prospective jurors and to avoid the areas where they may congregate or where they may get together, where they may stand around on a break, talk to each other, to protect them, the jurors, from further interference. Now, that's the headline in the Miami Herald. I'm citing my sources, so you can go look it up for yourself and know I wasn't making it up, right? The judge has ordered YNW Melly's mom, Jamie King, to avoid prospective jurors and areas where they may congregate to protect them from further interference. What's this coming from? This is coming from one of the jurors, or prospective jurors, past jurors also, telling on her, saying, hey, listen, we seen her. I saw this lady outside in the parking lot. She was in the car right where the jurors parked their cars to come inside of the courthouse in the underground parking lot. And she was in her car crying her face off. She was sobbing into what looked like a handkerchief or like a pile of tissues or whatever, just looking really sad, right? And then when I came in the courtroom, I saw her sitting in here and I realized that that was YNW Melly's mother. So, or Jamel Demon's mother. So she told the prosecutors that, hey, this lady is hanging around the areas where the jurors are hanging around. Another juror came forward and said, yeah, she sat there and she just eyeballed me. She looked at me like she was trying to communicate with me using her eyes only, kind of thing, you know, trying to like gain sympathy from me, trying some kind of way. This didn't sit well with the prosecutor. So Bukalu, which is one of the three prosecutors and lead prosecutor on this case, now filed a motion to have YNW Melly's mom banned from areas where the jurors might congregate, where they park their cars. And they just didn't want her at the courthouse at all, period, during the jury selection phase. Well, YNW Melly's mom fired back. She said, I've been coming here for 5 years now. I never missed a court date except for the time when I got sick with COVID. I work in a hospital. I'm a nurse. And I'm not here to harm anybody. I just want to see my son. And my son has been on restrictions for a long time now. Hasn't had any phone privileges. Can't get any visitations. So the only way I actually get to see my son is when I come up to this place right here and I get to see him in court for these hearings. I'm not trying to do anything. That was her defense. She also said she was shocked that somebody came up with that she was trying in any way to gain sympathy from any jurors, to communicate with them in any kind of way. She's showing up in the parking lot in spaces where they are at. So the judge did not grant the motion for the prosecution because the prosecution wants her banned completely from the whole jury selection process. She can start coming when the actual case starts, when the trial starts. That was what they wanted. But the judge didn't give that to the prosecution. The judge said she can still come, but he is warning her. He is banning her. The Judge Murphy ordered her, rather, is the proper word. Not banning her. He ordered her to avoid prospective jurors and the areas where they may congregate to protect them from further interference. Right, that's one. Now, this is the one where YNW Melly's team was dealt a big blow. For all the people who are saying, oh, the state did something wrong and they were holding information away from his team that could have helped him in his first trial, that came all to an end. Shout out to Rafael Almeida, who is a journalist at the South Florida Sun Centennial, and he brought this information forward for us. Deep into jury selection in the retrial of Jamel YNW Melly Demons on 2 counts of first-degree murder, Broward Judge issued a formal ruling on Wednesday denying a defense motion to dismiss the case and clearing the Broward State Attorney's Office of deliberately withholding key information from the defense. So that's 2 motions, right? One of the motions was to have everybody in that Broward State Attorney's Office removed from the case. They lost that motion. That's not going to happen. They also wanted the case to be completely dismissed. The judge officially ruled that's not going to happen. And also, the judge ruled finally that there was no wrongdoing anywhere in the case. He found no wrongdoing on the part of the Broward State Attorney's Office. So, all that talk about Detective Moretti trying to get some other detective to tell a lie and all that other stuff, it's thrown out. It's gone. Yes, they removed the first prosecutor from the case. I know she's not too happy about it, but I know she understands that this is the process. Now, the state has bolstered their fighting stance because they have replaced 1 prosecutor with 3 prosecutors. So it's going to be an uphill fight for YNW Melly's team in this round of the battle, as it seems. The ruling by Broward Circuit Judge John J. Murphy caps months of legal disputes about what prosecutors knew about allegations of witness misconduct when they knew it and what they did about it. Y'all remember there was one of their own even testified against them. I'm wondering, how are things going to pan out for her? The evidence does not show that Broward State Attorney Harold Pryor or his deputies Regina Falk and Christopher Killeran engaged in a cover-up, blocking the defense lawyers from learning that any other prosecutor, Michelle Boutros, had accused the lead detective on the case of asking a Broward deputy to lie about the execution of a related search warrant. Michelle Boutros is actually a member of the department, and she testified on behalf of YNW Melly's team. So she basically turned her back. You know, in law enforcement, there's this secret talk about this. Well, it's a public talk about something that's secret. The blue wall of silence. And it's like you never turn against your own, right? That's like soldiers going to testify against other soldiers in the military. That's like you testify against your brother in arms. That's like police officers going against their other police officer brothers and sisters. It's just something that it's not really encouraged to do within the ranks, and it's not something that too many of them are willing to do. You know what I mean? They prefer to deal with stuff behind the scenes. But when Boutros testified, what it did was it opened up a lot of public speculation, because then here comes a lot of people saying, well, if Boutros is willing to testify, that simply means the department is corrupt, and Boutros is the only one in that department, state attorney in that department, who is willing to come forward and tell the truth. Why would she risk everything to come testify on behalf of the defense, on behalf of YNW Melly's team? This is a double murder case. They're trying to put him away. Matter of fact, they're trying to put him on death penalty. And here she comes testifying on their behalf that the department might have done something, not might have, did do something wrong, and she heard it. Turns out what she heard wasn't what it was, right? And they came in and they laid it out in front of the judge. And guess what? That's what the judge found. So the evidence does not show that the Broward State Attorney Harold Pryor or his deputy Regina Falk and Christopher Killoran engaged in any cover-up, blocking YNW Melly's lawyers from learning that another prosecutor, Michelle Boutros, had accused the lead detective on the case of asking a Broward deputy to lie about the execution of a related search warrant. The lead prosecutor on the case, Christine Bradley, she was removed by the judge earlier this month for failing to tell the defense lawyer about Boutros' allegations before Demon's first trial earlier this year. She wasn't removed because she did anything wrong. She was removed as a precautionary measure. The judge, matter of fact, clearly said that Christine Bradley's her reputation is still intact. She did nothing wrong. This is a precautionary measure. Now, without finding that Bradley did anything improper, Judge Murphy said that the allegations of prosecutorial misconduct against her do not extend to her superiors at the state attorney's office. Therefore, he's not throwing the whole department off the case either. The same department is going to be trying the same case, and they're going hard at it. That's what I got to tell you, because like I said, when they removed her, they put 3 more on it, when before she was the only one that had this case for the last 4 years and change. Now there are 3 legal minds on this case at most. Murphy said in his decision, violation of state's obligation to inform the defense about misconduct allegations would have resulted in a new trial. So it would have never, he said at most, if he actually found that what YNW Melly's team was accusing them of and what Boutros claimed that she heard, if it all turned out to be true, the most that would have happened would have been resulted in a new trial, which Demons is getting one anyway, because the jury in his last trial failed to reach a unanimous verdict. So it's not like this would have qualified them to dismiss his entire trial or throw it out. It wasn't that big to the point where it was going to make everything else disappear. He was still going to be going back to another trial. Defense lawyer Jamie Benjamin and Daniel Aronson, these are 2 of YNW Melly's attorneys, they said that they were crippled in their efforts to prove any further prosecutorial misconduct. They couldn't go any further. They couldn't prove anything more. Why though? Because Judge Murphy did not allow them to formally question Pryor and his 2 deputies. The Pryor and his 2 deputies are the ones that were accused. But the judge did not allow YNW Melly's attorneys to question them. But why would him questioning them would not have made a difference? See, because they would have stuck to their guns. They would have said what they said. And that's it. Jury selection in YNW Melly's trial, the retrial, is still in its first phase at the moment, with potential panelists being ruled out if they cannot devote the time that is needed to hear the case. That means if you're too busy, you got a new baby at home, you just got married, you're celebrating your honeymoon, you're working 2 jobs, you can't take time off from any of them, all that other stuff. Right now, they're just weeding people out, right? And if you cannot devote the time to be here consistently, then those are the people that are going to go first. They're still in the first phase. The second phase of the jury selection process will determine whether they can be unbiased in hearing this case, and if necessary, will they be willing to impose the death penalty. This is a death penalty case, so they're going to ask them stuff like, do you have a problem with the death penalty? If somebody says, I hate it, I don't like it, I would never be able to send somebody to the death penalty, no matter how guilty they are, I just don't believe in it, that's a person who's not going to be allowed to be in this jury. Someone has to say, well, if the evidence adds up and, you know, it's guilty, this is a double murder case, If it shows that he's guilty and he gruesomely killed both his friends in a callous manner, then we have no choice. And I have no problem voting for the death penalty. That person would be put on. So they got to weed them out. Also, the part where they're going to be asking them, can you be unbiased in hearing the case? This is where things get a bit tricky. Because if you have, say, for instance, Shaniqua, and Shaniqua is from the hood, and Shaniqua grew up in a certain part of the city, in, Scott's projects, and she's seen this her whole life. Like, her uncles have been in and out of jail, her brother is in prison doing time. She hates law enforcement because of the interaction that she's seen her whole life between law enforcement and her brothers and her uncles and whatnot, and around her neighborhood, her community, which no snitching rule is in effect fully. If she's one of those kind of people, then she probably cannot be unbiased in hearing this case, because she'll probably come in there thinking, well, Jamel Demons is just a young black man and they just trying to fuck him over and trying to send him to death penalty, or trying to lock him up in prison like they try to do every young black man, like they trying to do my uncle and my brothers. You understand? So people with preconceived notions about law enforcement, about the law, about a judge, about courthouse, about not telling, no snitching, we don't speak to police, all this other stuff, if they make it this far into the second phase of jury selection, hopefully they could be weeded out. That way we will have people who are unbiased to hear this case, have no dog in this fight, go solely off of what is presented before them, which is evidence, and make a decision based on that. Right. Demons is accused of gunning down his fellow rappers and childhood friends turned business partner YNW Juvie Thomas and Anthony YNW Sackchaser Williams 2 years ago. After, it ain't 2 years ago, it's a few years ago. After a late night recording session in 2018, his first trial ended in a hung jury in July of 2023, and we are back to retrial right now. Jury selection phase in full effect. New trial should start sometime in 2024. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Leave your comments in the comment section below, and stay tuned, because we are staying very close to this case, because we want to see what the outcome is. Either way, I think it's going to be a shocking one. I'm out. Peace.